Oh, we're on? Oh, hang on. Stand by. Okay. Can you guys see me? Sorry, everybody. I am not the best camera person in the world, so I'm just making sure. Okay. Okay, good. I see there's 10 people on. Yes, Christine, can you hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me before I go on. How's everybody doing? Anybody, just send me a sign that you can hear me. Okay, good. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. So, I just want to say hi, first of all. I'm coming to you live from New York City, and I'm a little nervous, you know? And I'm here by myself. Well, not totally by myself, but I'm here by myself. No one's going to be able to read the questions or comments or anything like that. So if I don't see it and you do have a question, please, I will go back to the Facebook after it's posted, after this live is posted, and answer your questions, or you can DM me at on Instagram at Ruth Roach. That's R-O-C-H-E, not like the bug. And yeah, so okay. So one of my mentors is Trevor Sorby, and he, I talked to him yesterday actually, and he's held up in his home in London. But I kind of want to go back to something I learned from him a long time ago, and it's about foundation. And hey, everybody that's joining in, I really appreciate you coming. So I want to go back to foundation. And when I trained with him originally, eons ago, which is where I got my foundation, and he was based in Sassoon, and then he kind of broke the rules and busted out and started using razors and things that people weren't necessarily doing at that time. It was all about precision. This, however, I'm going to cut with the shears, and it is a very classic shape. It's a shag, but it's a classic shape that we used to call the short layered haircut. You can do, shorter, longer, whatever. But it's a very solid system of creating this shape, and I'm going to do it with the shears. So sometimes it's all about just that foundation. I'll show you what she looks like all the way around. Stand by. She looks a little rock and roll, right? Dun 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 dun. There we go. So I'm going to put the shape in first, and then I'm going to go into the fringe afterwards. So she's going to go over there. All right. So I've sectioned my mannequin off. You can see I've got a horseshoe section on the top, and then the bottom part's just sectioned out underneath. I'm going to be starting with a comb, because that's always a good thing to start with. And so I'm going to start with that. I feel like my camera is crooked here. You know what's cool though? Like, I still have eyelashes, and that won't be happening for very long. They'll be dropping like flies. Hello, Mexico. Okay, so here we go. I've got my horseshoe section. I'm going to take a section straight across the front, and it's not a huge section. And again, for those of you just joining, we're going to be doing a square layer, so it's not, I'm going to be doing it very traditional, which is unusual for me, because a lot of what I do is very out there, not out there, but organic and lived in and all that stuff. So this is fun. And one of the things that I'm finding right now with what's going on in the world is I go back to hair. That's what I love, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. Pakistan, wow, thanks for joining us. So anyway, I digress. I completely forgot what I was talking about, so oh well. So here we go. My first section is going to sit just about the tip of the nose, and that's going to determine the length for the rest of our haircut. So here we go, and I'm going to point cut. Just standing, making sure that my hair is combed down straight. And this is going to be the guide for the rest of the haircut, except when we go back and do the fringe. So I hope everybody's there and having a good time so far. It's weird to be by yourself, isn't it? It's just weird. You got to entertain yourself. I yell at the TV. I talk to my dog. I talk to my mannequins after a while, and so on. So when you look at this hair that's wavy and it starts to shrink up a little bit, see that? It's sitting right about the nose. Now, the curlier the hair is, obviously, the higher this is going to sit. So this is a great shape to cut on curly hair and leave it a little bit longer. Okay, so there we go. Next section, I'm going to take a horizontal section across the top. And then what I'm going to do is use the section I just cut at the nose, and that's going to become my guide for the top. So I'm going to go from the longest point of that, because if you think about it, when I pull that hair down here and I cut it, when it comes back up, the very front of it's shorter than the very back of it. So I'm going to use the very back of it as my guide, and I'm going to point cut that in. So I'll turn this way so you can see. There we go. So I'm just going to point cut. I've dropped my comb already. Oh well. Here we go. So you can see here, combing it up. I only took half of that section at once because I don't want to end up with too much hair in my hand and not be able to see my over direction or lack of it, depending on what we're trying to create. Okay, so let's just take a look, bring the whole thing up. And there we go. So now what I'm gonna do is start taking my sections, and that first section, the second section that we cut straight up, that's now gonna become my guide for the next section. So I'm gonna over direct slightly to that section. Then what I'm gonna do, and so I've got my guide here, it's stable. I'm just gonna turn my fingers so I can see that. I haven't moved my fingers, we're still stable. And then I'm gonna take the other side of the section and do it again. You know, some of those like tried and true classic rules of never cut past your second knuckle, all that stuff. That's why we want to not take the entire section at once. Let me just cross check. Good to go. So what's gonna happen is these layers are gonna sit up higher, it's gonna make it lighter here, but what's gonna happen to the layers on the side is it's going to start getting longer towards the back. So the layers are gonna get a little bit longer as we go. So who's been doing hair at home on mannequin heads? I know you can't tell me, but tell me so I can see later that you told me. You know, I'm a big fan of mannequins because I do a lot of it's almost like a meditation for me to work on hair. And especially right now, you know, I'm doing anything I can to have fun, stay positive. I think that's one of the things that as hairdressers, we always have to do on a daily basis and be there for our guests. So this is, you know, a time when we can be there for them in positive ways and through virtual consultation and things like that. But we also can use this time for self-care. And for me, that means, you know, spending time with my family and friends on Zoom. It means doing hair, you know, just doing whatever. And doing something like this that's a classic square shape that is pretty technically it's simple, it's foundational, but it's done in a way that for me is very satisfying, very gratifying, and tidy. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Just to show you, you can see how much longer that length is now than it was in the beginning, and I'll show you that from the side when we cross-check it. So if you're just joining us, I just want to say that because I'm here by myself, I've got a hair in my head. Because I'm here by myself, I can't read what you guys are saying, and if there's any questions, I apologize, but I will answer them after. After we're done, I'll go onto the Facebook page and answer it. I just want to give a big shout out to Hairbrained for having me on and letting me take over today. I love Hairbrained. Who loves Hairbrained? Everybody, everybody. And as far as giving us the education that we so love and need, it's amazing. And I'm honored to be part of it and to be asked to do this. So let's take a look at what this looks like from the side. You can see how our layers are getting longer towards the back. Do you see that? They're going like that. And that's going to give us, guess what? Longer layers in the back. We don't have to do that. We could go straight through and then we would have a shorter crown sitting here. So it just depends on how much volume we want to take out of the sides. The shorter the layers, the closer the sides are going to be with the way that we're going to pick them up. So that's our first section. Excuse me, itchy nose. That's our first section there. Let's take a look. Okay, ta-da, we're done. Now, just in case, I want you to see the one that we have pre-done. So she's got the whole look. She's dry. I'm going to be cutting this one, and then that way you can see what it looks like dry, as opposed to spending time blow drying it for you and lulling you to sleep. So, just shaking it out, looking at it. Now what we're going to do, and you can see here how it is longer in the back. The lengths are going longer towards there. I'm going to drop this out, and we're going to do our sides. So now we have our guide for the sides. We have that side guide for the side. And we'll just get in there. I'm going to clip this out of the way just so I can stay as neat and organized as possible. So I know those of us, there's those of us out there who are more visual cutters, and there's those of us who are more technical. And then pretty much all of us live somewhere in between on that scale, you know, and today I'm sliding more back to my roots and just having fun with that. So here we go, taking another section. And here what I want to do is, my God, I think I've had too much coffee today. Use a little bit of water. And then what I'm going to do is take a section that runs parallel to the hairline, just taking a little bit of that top section with me. I'm just going to leave that out of the way. So I'm going to stand over here so you can see what's going on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift that up. I'm taking the edge of my front. I'm going to lift that hair up a little bit less. And I'm going to angle my fingers out. So if you look from here, I'm angling from the edge of this, and I'm going to work my way out at an angle. Sorry. There we go. I'm going to work my way out at an angle like this. We could go in and go more 90-90. We could elevate up, which is going to give us a little bit more length and softness towards the bottom. Or we could go straight up, which is going to give us a maximum amount of length at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go 90 degrees from the head. And I'm just going to get a lot of that bulk off first. And then bring it back up and connect to the guide. So it's different than cutting palm to palm, which we would normally do when we're doing a layered shape that's this vertical. Well, a lot of the times we would, some of us. So if you see what that's doing there, it's just falling in nice and flat around the face. So I'm going to take the same section on the opposite side. Here using my favorite comb, Boy Pro 107. I've had one in my hand for 100,000 years. Back when we took a horse and carriage to work, that was when I did it. Okay, so now we're going to take this section, and I'm going to move here. Same thing, we're going to keep that out of our way. Just take the very edge, and I want to remember my angle from the other side. Again, just getting this bulk off. I want to know who's in their pajamas right now. A lot of us have been doing that, right? So there's my line coming in. And I'm keeping my point cutting pretty deep. So we're going to drop that down. Check it out. We're good to go. So that's our guide now, connecting the front to the sides. Now what I'm going to do is continue working one whole side and get that done. So there's two things going on. I'm going to be connecting to the section I just cut on the side, and I'm also going to be connecting to this top area that we already cut. So we've got two connecting points. So I'm going to elevate the hair up. There's my guide. Get rid of the bulk. And there it is. I'm always combing the hair that hasn't been cut yet last into my hand. And just so you know, I already cut the bottom of that. So, what else? You know what? I think this is a really special time. I know it's unprecedented, all that stuff, you know, but for us, we got to have hope and think positive, and remember that even though we might not be able to take care of our guests right now, just imagine what it's going to be like when they all come back into the salon. We're going to need to be rested. We're going to need to be ready to go and ready to take on that rush of people going, please, you know. So whatever we can do to help them along the way while we're going through this is awesome. Same thing now on this side. I'm just going to connect my... Hi, I'm looking. Maria Elena Mendoza from Colombia. Thanks for coming. Sorry, I wish I could see everybody that's coming, but I'm sorry. I'm always sorry about something. So there we go. Just getting that out of the way. You know what I mean by just getting that length off so that it doesn't flop over your hand like that. So just turning my hand so I can get rid of that. And then I go back in and get my length proper to the guide. So again, this is just a very simple template for a layered shag that is not necessarily the shape that we've been seeing and wearing a lot. It's got more of a square shape. It's a little more rock and roll, and it's just got a different vibe than some of the shapes that we're seeing. The main thing I want you to think about is that this is about a template. So right now we've got hair that's being elevated up at 45 degrees. We've got our fingers at a 45-degree angle. We cut the top 90 degrees straight across, a little bit of over direction. So there's all these technical things going on. But it could be where we had cut this a lot longer towards the back. And then maybe through the sides, we held our hands straight up. Or maybe we went like this, short to long. So it's a sectioning pattern and an approach that we can take that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just this haircut. Yes, I'm doing one, but the idea is that it is an approach that we can use many different ways. So now we're going to connect the back to the sides. Thanks everybody for joining me today. From looks like a lot of people from all over. So thank you for that. And I hope that you get something out of this. You know, sometimes it's weird to try to figure out what to do because everybody likes something different. And, you know, we all approach hair in different ways. I think it's really important that we honor each other and how we approach hair. Some people are very, you know, some people are very, very strong belief this is how we do it. And then there's others that go like that. Some people say you shouldn't cut dry hair with a razor. Some people do. I try to be Switzerland and stay neutral. I just like to do what I do, and I always try to stay open to trying other things as well. So here we go. I'm standing in the back of the section because I want to comb the hair that I'm about to cut to the guide as opposed to combing the guide to the hair. That's going to make it shorter as I come around the back, so I want to comb the guide forward. And there's my guide. Get rid of the excess and then follow the guide. Very, very methodical approach. Oh man, there we go. Now again, if you wanted to take more weight out of the bottom, you would go in and work with more of a 90-degree elevation, straight out, straight down vertical with your fingers and create something that's much shallower in through the bottom. But the type of shape you would get is a little bit more of an hourglass type of a shape with a lot of weight just at the top on the sides. So this is going to give us somewhere in between. Okay, so here we go. Just getting that out of the way because we only need the edge of it and then the section that we just cut. So here we go. Now, here's something that when we get into these sections here, you can see how sparse the ends are. And just like on a human head, we get areas of the head that have different amounts of density. Because this is so fine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it blunt, and that's so that we get a textural blend. See, this hair right here is really, really skinny, and then the hair next to it, not so much. So what's going to happen on that hair that's a little bit skinnier, by cutting the ends blunt, we're going to make that texture there behave more like this texture here, meaning what's happening on the ends. You know, we could cut this haircut with a razor. We could cut it with blending shears. We could do it, you know, and I've done a similar shape on dry hair with blending shears. And, you know, you could cut it freehand. But the idea is that you choose the tool. Here you go. See how thin that is? And that's how Bridget Marie came out of the box. A little bit thin in the back. So let me show you what's going on from the side. See, there's our guide. But her hair, it's because she's been growing it out for her wedding for 3 years. Her hair's a little bit thin on the ends. So we're going to blunt that so that that texture looks more like the texture, the point cutting that we've done on the thicker areas of the hair. And by cutting with the shears as opposed to the razor, what I'm doing is putting the maximum amount of weight on the ends of the hair. So if the hair tends to be a lot thicker than this, we could go in and do different things to take weight out. We could cut with a razor right away and take weight out as we go. Same thing here. Whoop, a little bit scrawny. And I make that decision of whether I'm gonna cut it blunt or point cut it based on the amount of hair that's there. That definitely needs to be blunt. So the skinny hair that's blunt is gonna look more like the thick hair that's point cut. It's kind of somewhere in between the two. Okay, now you can see the shape there come into life. So what I'm gonna do is work past the center now. So I'm gonna go right into the other side because as we're working, just like I did on the top, I'm over directing slightly to the previous section. For those of you that maybe have just joined in, this is the look that we're doing. It's a very square shag, very loose, very unstructured, a little bit slept in on purpose, and that's where we're going. So we're in the back now. And I'm still over directing just slightly to the previous section. This would be straight out. This is slightly over directed back to the previous. And we're just gonna follow that guide. Now I'm getting into a place where I have more density again. So I'm gonna go back to, taking that bulk off first. I'm gonna go back to point cutting. So we're taking a little bit of weight out of the ends as opposed to adding weight with cutting blunt. Now I know I've said that 10,000 times, so I think I've made my point. And if you were here in person, I'd say go ahead and throw something at me. Hi, Baton Rouge. Okay, there we go. Now there's absolutely no texture cut in this hair yet or anything like that, but you can see the shape there. All right, now what I'm gonna do is connect this side and then we're gonna go all the way across the center back to the other side so that we take off any weight that was in between. I just wanna give a shout out to my Redken family. I've been with them for just over a year now, back home, and having a great time, and I know they're doing a lot. L'Oreal as a brand is really doing as much as they can to help right now, to help us all. And I also, again, want to shout out to Hairbrain for having me on, and I hope that I will be able to come and do it again after this, because you never know. You never know. I'll find out when I look at the comments afterwards. Okay, so here we go. Slightly over directed to the previous section. There's my guide. Get rid of the bulk. And then I'm just following that through. Let me turn better so you can see better. So I hope everyone's having a good day or a good night, depending on where you're watching from. Keeping yourself entertained. I was saying before, I actually had a little dance party by myself earlier, and God, I looked good. I looked really good. And sometimes you just got to do that, you know? It's, for me, I go through different phases, depending on the day, depending on the hour of how I'm handling what's going on in our world. And I think you can all relate to that, that it just depends on, okay, look, there's our scrawny, skinny kind of ends. They're just nothing. So we're gonna take those and make them blunt. There they are, and there they go. And that's just life, you know? People have different amounts of hair, different densities of hair color that's been growing out for, you know, a long time. Maybe hair that just gets like that, as you know, the clients that we have whose hair never seems to get any longer. That kind of texture on the ends, we can just go for it. Next section. And you can see as I'm in the crown here, I'm just pivoting around once I get to that center point, and we're going to go right past the center to the other side. There we go, skinny bits, cutting them blunt. Textural blend, that's what it's all about. Because everything that we do, I'm almost off the screen, I'm sorry. Everything that we do is we create illusion, right? We take this stuff that hangs on people's heads and we create an illusion of a shape. We create something that might, if the hair is really bushy and thick, then we're creating the illusion that it's not. Maybe we're taking weight out to make it look like it's more fine. So we're really constantly working with creating illusion. And the fabric that we're working with is so unusual compared to any other fabric that designers work with, that sculptors work with. You know, it moves, it hangs, it lays up here, it hangs down there, it gets thin down here, it does all these different things all the way around. So let me just go check out what's going on. Cool. Just seeing that I don't have a point in the middle, and I don't, which is awesome. And then we're gonna drop that down. Sorry, I'm a little thirsty. It's hot. I'm in my apartment and I've got studio set up in here. And it's hot. Okay. Well, don't leave the clip in there, Ruth. Okay, let's shake it up. Yeah, man, rock and roll. Okay, so going back to our model here, you can see how she has short little fringe inside of there, and that's something that can be done with a razor or whatever, but I wanted to set the shape in first so that these lengths are in the right place. So that's why I haven't cut the fringe yet. We got our layers in the right place, and now we're gonna go in with the fringe. You guys okay? I'm okay, thanks for asking. Somebody asked, thank you. I'm hot, and I don't mean that kind of hot. I mean hot, hot. Okay, so here we go. What I'm gonna do now is look for the natural area where the fringe falls. See if I can put her up a little higher. Okay. So just kind of generally looking at what's the hair that I want to cut. It's basically the hair that falls to the corner of the eye, which is going to give us our separation point. If we were to comb the hair down right here and blouse it up, we're going to get that hair separating nicely. Just get that out. Same thing on the other side. And then just for fun, we're gonna make sure it's all in there even. Sorry, I got really quiet. Da 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 da. Those of you that don't know me, I am crazy, and I appreciate that you're here. And those of you that, I don't know if I said do know me, I don't know. Let's just cut the fringe, shall we? Okay, so what we're gonna do is work with freehand now. So I'm going away from what we've done. The fringe, as you saw it, is very, very textured and chunky. So I'm gonna take the first section right in the center, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna cut it short. Okay, so there's my first piece. Next piece, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna cut it starting at that same point and work my way out about 1/2 inch. So we're creating a short piece out to a longer piece, pinch, there's my piece, work out about 1/2 inch. So we're getting longer as we go towards the outside of the fringe. Next section, I'm going to go from the edge of that one and work our way out about a 1/2 inch. So we're cutting short to long, short to long, short to long. Same thing on this side now, third piece. We're going to go from the edge of that and a 1/2 inch. So then we start to get our little fringe sitting in there without it being too much of a baby bang all the way across. It's just going to be light and soft. So next section, I'm just going to take another horizontal section. And now we want to put some texture in there. So we could go in with the tip of a razor. We could do it many different ways. What I'm going to do is go and just pick up pieces and start to carve that surface. So picking them up, just carving. Don't worry, I know if you're a blender, you're freaking out right now because this is all over the place visually. But what we want to do is keep it very, very organic. And if we see little bits like that, they go bye-bye. Okay, here's my last section. Now, once I get to this section, I want to comb it in natural fall. Right now, it's all getting combed forward, so we want to do natural fall. And a lot of that doesn't reach, see? Because it was layered through the top. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring all the front forward. So what you do, it's almost like a little mini curtain fringe on textured, on wavy hair. So, how long has it been? Whew. Thanks for staying, those of you that have stayed. But that's the shape. It's basically everything straight up. And then once we get to the sides, we angled them this way and connected it, get back here. We angled it this way and connected the edge of that horseshoe out at a 45-degree angle. Whatever didn't reach. I had already cut the bottom, so that was predetermined. Where that length sits, and then that was our guide for the rest of the haircut. Both cases up here and through the side, we over directed to the previous section so that we get a little bit longer of a layer towards the back. And here's where, depending on the hair, you can go in and take weight out, put more volume in places, take volume out. This is just a nice template, like I said, for a shag, a layer, a way to approach something with your horseshoe and then going in like that. Do you like her choker? She was a model for me at the Redken Exchange. Okay, so I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, from New York City, thank you for joining me. I hope that you all have a great evening, and this will be on the page after. Like I said, I'm going to go check out your comments or your questions and see if I can answer anything that I missed. And that's it. God bless and stay safe, and let's remember to do what we love right now, because that's what's going to get us through this, and that's what's going to make us better when that rush of clients comes back in the door. So take it easy. Bye.